What's going on, everybody? It is me, the one and only Visual. You are listening to Ready or Not. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm just going to get right into it because, I'm feeling some kind of way. My thing is this. Have you ever been in a heated discussion or conversation with your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your significant other where you guys, well, not even you guys, but where you can't see it like calming down, like the conversation is just steadily escalating, and no matter what you do to try to diffuse it, for whatever reason, it's just expanding. You're getting more irritated. You're getting more mad. You're talking louder, right? You're starting to yell, like your blood pressure is raising. You know what I mean? Like it's just growing, and all your attempts are just failed attempts. And it's like in that moment, I think it's wild how you can be like, you know what? F this. I'm done with this. I'm done with this person. Like, I know I'm not the only one who's gotten to that point where, you know what, like I don't need this. Like, I will risk it all and throw it all away, like, over this one conversation because you're so pressed. You're so mad. You're so annoyed. You're so bothered. You're so hurt. Like, you fill in the blank. You know what I mean? And that's not only for relationships that aren't having problems. That's also for relationships that are good, Those are for the relationships that, are rocky and the ones that are, on solid ground. Like sometimes it just kind of feels like you get to that boiling point where you're just like, man, forget this. Like, I don't need this. And I talk about that because I just think it's wild. Like, it is absolutely a wild concept to wrap your head around, to go from like everything just peaches and cream, the day before or even the day of, and then something small can set you guys off and you are just livid, right? You are just both going at each other's throats. And it's like from 0 to 1,000 real quick. And it's not always like that, right? Because I don't know about y'all, but me, we try to practice self-control. We try to do certain things to alleviate our conversations from getting to that point. We try to have those conversations and get ahead of the curve before certain things evolve and, they just boil over. So, we're usually fairly good about keeping things, at a peaceful, respectful, calm level, when we're communicating about our disagreements. But sometimes, man, it's just like, it will really just take you there. And I don't even know if it's the topic or the person as much as it is everything else that factors into the kind of day you had, to the way that you're feeling, right? Like, how was work? Did you work today? Even what was the weather? Did you eat? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what kind of conversations did you have? Did you find out any news? And so I honestly feel like all of that factors into you and your significant other having that conversation that really just takes you to the next level, that really just makes you guys boil over. And obviously, I'm saying this because I just had a conversation with my husband that should have been like a quick little 5-minute, dispute, like a pleasant conversation, like, hey, you did this, or hey, this happened, and, I didn't appreciate it. I didn't like it. You say sorry, we kiss and make up, and then we keep it moving. But for whatever reason, this thing just dragged on like way longer than it had to. And it was not even that big of a deal. It was a misunderstanding. And it's just like, man, once I tried to diffuse the situation, like it was not diffusing, right? Like it didn't want to diffuse, for lack of better words. And so it just kept growing and growing and growing and escalating and escalating. And eventually, we didn't resolve anything. We didn't get anywhere. We got off the phone and he was like, I'll talk about it later. I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, we literally had an opportunity now, which is why we are talking, to respectfully and maturely resolve this issue so that we can move forward and continue to, foster love and not go to bed mad and angry with each other, because like that's just petty and childish and for the birds. That's not what love is. It's not how you guys should be operating in your relationship, right? And I can't stand that, because even though I'm irritated with you and you might be in the wrong, like I love you at the end of the day, and I want to be able to share that love with you. I want us to be able to have peace, and I want to be able to sleep at night. And, knowing that we have some unresolved, issues, or someone's in a mood or feeling some kind of way, that is going to keep me from sleeping. Like, that is not going to bring me peace. That is going to do the opposite. Gosh. But I just think it's wild, like, how our mind can go to certain places, like when we just feel like we have reached our maximum, or reached a place where we're just like, oh my gosh, like, this is it. Like, this is enough. And it's crazy because you love this person, right? Like, you love this person, you married this person, you've been with this person for a long time, y'all been through hell and back, you guys have history and memories, like everything was cool just a minute ago, and now all of a sudden you guys just want to rip each other's heads off, and like, it's just, that's it. And it's just wild to see that dichotomy, like how quick things can go from being good to being horrible. I know I'm not the only one. Like, it's just nuts, right? And it's like, you love this person. You don't want to fight with this person. Y'all having this big argument or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, you care for them. You care about them. You want to treat them good. Like, they're your person. You know what I mean? Like, it's just silly at some point. But it's hard to depict that, in certain moments, in certain situations, and in certain conversations. It don't seem silly, in those moments. It's like, I know, I'm going to get off my chest and say what I got to say because you're tripping, right? But then after all that settles, you're like, oh my gosh. And that's what matters. That you guys resolve it quickly, right? That not a lot of time goes by where you both are just sour and neglecting to do the right thing. Then it's just lingering and dragging on and on and on, and you're just continuing to fester and sit and dwell in all that negative energy and, all that unnecessary drama that it's not even important. If anything, it's just drove a wedge between you guys and distanced you and, brought these unwanted feelings and emotions into your relationship that don't need to be there. And that's what the enemy loves to do. He loves to separate, and he loves to disconnect, and he loves to take apart things that are flowing well, that are beautiful and healthy and lovely and godly. He really loves when we go back and forth with people that we love. He really loves when we end relationships and we break happy homes. Like, he loves that. He loves when we fight. He loves when we're mad, right? Because he doesn't want to see us happy. He doesn't want to see us in a healthy marriage. He doesn't want to see us, living out the purpose and plans that God has for us, and as far as, relationships go, like, he doesn't want any of that for us. And every time that we do engage in those kinds of interactions and situations, he just eats it up. He just really soaks it all up. Like, he's happy about that. He loves to see that, because this could be the chance, this could be the moment, this could be the time that we really break things off for good. This could be the time that we really give in and give up and just say, forget it, that we stop. This could be the time that we stop pursuing love and peace and patience and godliness, like all the good things. And when we stop doing those things, that's when he wins and we lose. Sometimes it's really hard to catch yourself from blowing up. I mean, at the end of the day, we are live beings. We are sinful in our nature naturally. So, it's always one of those things that we're working on keeping under wraps, or, just keeping in line, because we never arrive as far as our attitude and our character and our actions are concerned, right? Like, people can flip the script in no time at all. Like, that's why it's important to plug yourself into something bigger than yourself, like God, and having a relationship with him, and taking the time to pray and read or do a devotion or listen to, something positive that will keep you at bay, that will remind you of the important things that are necessary for you to fill your spirit with throughout the day, so that you're not just popping off left and right, so that you're not just ready to risk it all. You know what I mean? Like, even when there's like a small little dispute at play, like, it shouldn't ruffle your feathers that much. You shouldn't be that worked up. So if you are getting to that point, you need to stop and take a step back and look at why, why are you getting so pressed? Why are you getting so bothered, so irritated, so angry, so upset right away? And is it every time? And if it's every time, what was your day like before that? What is the thing that keeps getting you to that point? Is it the person? Is it you? Right? Like, these are things that we need to take inventory on. Like, we need to take account of, because that's not okay. That's not healthy. That's not functional for, any relationship. It's just not how we're supposed to operate. We're supposed to operate in love and maturity and peace and understanding and, forgiveness and grace. And if we do the opposite of those things, we're not harboring or, forging that kind of chemistry and environment and, honestly, reality for our relationships. We're actually working against ourselves. It's funny because we want all the good things, yet we do the things that we know won't be beneficial for a relationship. And it's not like we do it intentionally. Maybe there are some people out there that do, that's self-sabotaging, they have a sickness in that area in regards to how they operate in their relationships. And that could be based off of a lot of things, honestly. Childhood, trauma, past relationships, you name it. So why is it that way? There's a scripture in the Bible. I think it's Paul. Don't quote me. But he was like, I do the things that I don't want to do, and I don't do the things that I do want to do, right? It's like, no matter how much you want to do the right thing in certain instances, sometimes you just fall short and you don't, or you can't, right? And you end up doing the opposite of that. And it's like, gosh, I didn't want to do that. Even though you did not want to. That's not what you wanted. Like, we know what's right. We know what's good. We know what's healthy. We know what's positive, what's going to be beneficial for you and maybe your relationship. Yet we don't always do those things. And it really just becomes like an everyday deposit that you have to make with yourself intentionally and with Christ. Like, taking the time to plug in so that you can ground yourself in the day and ask God to just move through you and not the other way around. Because if you're running on empty, like, you're more prone to be popping off on people and to be blowing up your relationship and getting in fights and arguments or having an attitude over things that are small or don't even matter, right? It's because you don't have anything sustaining you. You didn't have anything to fill you up spiritually. So if you're not filling yourself up spiritually, then it's just your flesh. Your flesh is more likely to take over. Your flesh is your feelings and your emotions and things that you want, the things that you feel and think are right. And those aren't always right. Your flesh will send you straight to hell. It will lead you astray. That's why it's good to put your efforts and your time and your trust and your hope and your belief into things that are bigger than you, things that you cannot see, things that will fill you and ground you, things that will embrace you and keep you safe and give you life, things that are truthful and honest and beautiful and good and healthy, right? All of those things. Man. And I can always tell a difference, like, when I've missed a day. Like, I usually start my morning, with coffee, obviously, because I need that. But I usually start my morning positioning myself in Christ, saying thanks, talking to God, praising Him, thanking Him for waking me up, like grounding myself in Him first before anything else, before getting on social, before responding to emails, looking at messages, opening up my bank app, like whatever it is, right? And then I read a devotional for the day. If you haven't heard of those, or if you haven't started one yet, I highly, recommend it. It's great. It keeps you accountable each day, and it gives you something to look forward to. Like, even if you're not able to, really get on your knees and take that 35, 45 minutes to an hour with God, just talking to Him and praying to Him and, just basking in His presence, you have this quick devotional that you can read in under 5 minutes that will leave you with something that you can hold on to for the rest of the day and carry with you, and that makes more of a difference than not feeding your spirit and, taking that time at all, like altogether. Like, we need that, you guys. Like, truly. If you've been wondering why you are the way you are when it comes to certain things, if you've been feeling a little short, with people, just a little sassier than normal, more edgy when it comes to certain topics, or, something at work, whatever it is, you got to ask yourself, okay, is this because I am not taking the time to feed my spirit and fill my spirit up with things that will sustain me and hold me over in those moments? Or, you know what I mean? Is it something else? But whatever the case, you should have a handle on that. You're calling yourself an adult man and an adult woman. You're saying you're mature. Just because you have a car and you have a job and you have a house does not mean you're mature, right? You may not even be good at taking care of those things, right? You may just be getting by, right? You may just have those things, but like you're not like excelling in it, right? Like, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, just because you have X, Y, and Z does not mean that you've got it together. Like, we're all falling apart in some shape or form. And just because we're of a certain age does not mean that we are wise and experienced and can call ourselves an adult, whatever that means. Like, it doesn't mean that at all. Having self-control, having self-awareness, right? Having wisdom, having understanding, being able to communicate your feelings even when you're pissed off and frustrated and upset in a respectful, appropriate manner. That, let me tell you right now, that is the depiction and the definition and the epitome of what a quote-unquote adult is, what a quote-unquote mature man or woman is, what a grown person is, if you want to put it in worldly terms, honestly. Not being able to control your responses or your temper or your attitude, like, that's childish. That shows that you have a lack. You have a lack somewhere. And that's considered to be, in this day and age, a red flag. Because who wants to deal with that, right? You may not like everything that happens. You may not like the things that people say to you, right? You may not like certain situations and circumstances. However, you can control your entire self. You can control how you respond to things. You can control how you act. You can control your thoughts, right? You can control you. That whole, oh, you made me do it. Well, if you did this and so I did this. No, that's an excuse. That's a cop-out. That's cowardly. And yeah, we've all been there. I'm not perfect, but I have been there and I have grown and I have smelled my own crap. And you know what? I cleaned it up. Because that's what you do. That's what a wise person does. That's what a mature person would do. That's what a grown person would do. That is what I call grown. You being a certain age and having certain things and being able to do certain things does not make you grown. You've just been able to acquire those things and maintain it, right? And yeah, there's a certain level of discipline you have to have in regards to, having material things or monetary things or things of the world. But when it comes to being in control of your physical self and how you operate, when things happen that you like or don't like that is top tier. That is next level. That's what matters. That's what's important. That's where you should be putting your time and your effort. People are putting their time and their effort into all these physical, monetary, material things that are nice for the moment, but that are not lasting and that you cannot take with you and that will not really have the most impact or make the most difference in your life or the life of those other people who come in contact with you. Yet, that's where you're putting all of your emphasis and your attention and your focus. It's backwards. Everyone wants to look like they've got it all figured out and all together, but no one actually wants to take the time to work on themselves so that they really do operate that way, so that they really do come off like, wow, they've got it going on. Look at this person. Yeah, I could see that, right? No one's working on their fruits, the fruits of the spirit. Y'all, I've talked about this before. And you know what? This all stemmed from me talking about how me and my husband had a heated disagreement that didn't end the way that it was supposed to. Now, I will say later on, shortly after we did talk again, and, we kissed and made up, and we both apologized, right? Because that's just the healthy, proper thing to do. And sometimes that's just the best it's going to get. But if you work on doing your part in order to be able to combat those things, before they happen, before they get to that point, that's always better. And honestly, that is like, that's key. It is. It's real key. And how do we do that? By filling ourselves up with Jesus. Yeah. With prayer, with music, worship music, like a devotion, reading something positive that can speak into our lives so that we can get ourselves together, so that we can keep it together. Honestly, that's what it is. Oh, you guys. I know that we make things a lot more difficult than they have to be at times. And it's because we are the solution and we are the problem, But that's why God sent his son to die for our sins, so that we could realize that apart from him, we're worthless and that we need him, so that we can be our best self, so that we can be what he really created us to be. We can't be that without him, and we can't be that on our own. Not at all. So, something short and sweet, because it was personal and on my mind, fresh on my mind, because it just happened. But I just wanted to share that with you, that if you guys are feeling short-tempered, or just quick-witted and quick to come back with a response, or just quick to be bothered and angry or moody or upset, it's just because you need a little more Jesus, or you need to eat, or you need a snack, or a nap, or a hug. Okay? Or you need to call your mom. So just go down that list first, right? And if you go through that list and you're like, okay, no, I'm good in all these areas, the majority of the time, it's really because your spiritual fuel is running low. And you have to do something to fill it back up. And there are many things that you can do to do that. But you can't do it without God. Right? He is the gas. You need that. It's some good gas too. So be the first to be wrong. Be the first to acknowledge your faults and your shortcomings, your deficits, so that you can even be quicker to fix them. Because that's attractive. That's proper. That's godly. That's beautiful. That's long lasting, Like, we can take that to the bank. Your character, your aura, your frequency, your energy, your spirit. Work on that. Let's maximize that. And you'll see all of your relationships change, honestly. You'll see a change in all of your relationships. And that'll be an eye-opener there for you too, even more, because once you start to change spiritually, well, let me tell you, things change in the physical realm too. And it's not always what we want or how we want it, but it's exactly what we need. Because that's how we grow. So, apologize to your man or your woman if you're listening to this and you're at odds with somebody you love. Life is too short for all that nonsense. Quit being petty. Grow up. Be the bigger person. Take the initiative. Have that conversation. Say sorry. Like, do whatever it takes. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't start now, then you'll never do it. And you're just wasting your time and their time. Honestly. Like, it can be real simple. It can really be easy. Like, we can really have the kind of loving relationships that we want and that God said that we could have. Like, there's no reason why we can't. It's just us. We have to get out of our own way. And the only way we can do that is by looking at where we are and what we're doing wrong. Because you can't fix something if you don't know what the problem is. 9 times out of 10, people don't want to face the problem because the problem is you. So, there's some things to think about. I know it's not a long podcast, but it is loaded and it packs a punch. So, chew on that, meditate on that. I pray that you were able to take something away from this and realize that if you have the ability to have love in your life, then you should do everything in your power to be able to keep it and maintain it if it is healthy and if it is godly and if it is pure and positive and if it brings you good things, right? You should do that because those things are worth working for and fighting for. Love is something you become. And you can only become that by self-sacrifice. So newsflash, if you're in a relationship and you're selfish or you're always pissed off or mad or you feel like you can't do nothing right, it's because you have to let go of the fact. It's because you have to let go of thinking that it's about you. It's not. True love is a sacrifice. You literally die every day. Because you're not in love for you, you're in love for the other person. And that looks nothing like what the world has painted it to be. So, anyways, we can talk more on that at another time. Y'all know that I can just go once I get going. But I do love y'all. We are in this together. This is not the end all be all. These things are fixable. We just gotta face the hard truths and do some real work. So, start doing the work. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in wherever you guys are in the world. Don't forget to follow me on all of the things if you haven't already. And drop some comments. Let me know where you are listening from. Ask me some things that you guys want to know and drop some maybe future topics that we can talk about in our next coming podcast. Okay? Guys, take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next episode. Be encouraged. Be easy. Be loved. Be light. Be real. Peace. Ready or not. But visual. I'm out, y'all.